I was born on July 8, 1792, in Plymouth County, Massachusetts. My father, also named Joseph Bates, moved to New Bedford a year later, and I grew up in that seafaring town, listening to salty tales of far-off lands and high adventure. When I was a schoolboy, my head was always in the clouds, dreaming of the day when I would be allowed to go to sea.
Joseph Bates? Bates! Are you with us? Wake up, boy!
Yes, Mr. Wilkins, I'm awake. What was the question?
The question, young sir, was, in what year did the British surrender to the American forces, and where did that event take place?
Well, that was in 83 in, Georgetown?
Wrong. Can anyone in the class inform Mr. Bates of the right answer? Prudence Nye, will you help him?
Cornwallis surrendered to General Washington on October 18, 1781 at Yorktown, Mr. Wilkins.
Very good, Prudence. You may sit down. As for you, Joseph Bates, you should be ashamed. Your own father was an officer in the Continental Army and a hero of the Revolution.
Yes, sir. I realize that I should know more about our country's history.
If you would spend more time with your books and less time down at the waterfront, you'd be better off, young man.
Yes, sir.
You will be better prepared from now on, or you will feel the end of my pointing stick on your end. Do you understand? All right. Class dismissed.
Mrs. Bates, where is your son? He's late for supper again.
Why is it, Mr. Bates, that when Joseph has done something not to your liking, he becomes my son?
Well, I suppose he's dockside again, listening to sailors spin their far-fetched yarns.
Hello, Mother, Father. Sorry I'm late.
Here, Joseph, have some of this chowder.
Oh.
Watch out, it's very hot.
Thank you, Mother.
Joseph, I will not tolerate your being late for supper night after night. As soon as school lets out, you run down to the wharves. I don't understand what you see in those filthy old sailing ships.
What I see, Father, are the faraway places that the ships have visited. I smell the spices of the Orient, and I hear the stories of Barbary pirates and of whale hunting in the North Pacific.
Pacific, I want you to forget all that nonsense. When you're through with school next year, I want you to come into my business.
We've talked about this before, Father. I don't want to be stuck in a Bedford shop. I want to be a deep-water sailor.
Well, wait till you're out of school, then we'll see. We'll see.
So, Mr. Bates, this is your son.
Uh-huh.
Well, he looks like a strong, willing lad.
And strong-willed, too, Captain Terry. He wants nothing more than to be a sailor. His mother and I have given in to his wishes in hopes that a long sea voyage will cure him of the idea.
Well, it may do just the opposite, Mr. Bates. With some of us, once the sea gets into the blood, there is no turning back. Well, I'll sign him on as cabin boy. How would you like that, Joseph?
I'd like that just fine, Captain Terry.
You're on, then. My ship, the Fanny, sails on the morning tide. Say your goodbyes, boy, and get your gear on board. Mr. Eldridge, the first mate, will show you where to bunk.
In June of 1807, we sailed from New Bedford to New York City to take on a cargo of wheat. We had a pleasant, uneventful run across the Atlantic and anchored at a London dock. We finished our business in London, and 1 week later we hauled out of our dock into the River Thames and commenced filling our water casks for the homeward voyage.
Oh, I don't see how we'll be able to drink this horrid stuff, Bilbo.
What's the matter, Joe?
Why, this water is filthy. Look, there are green and yellow streaks in it, and the mud is so thick you could walk on it.
It don't look like much, I grant it. All the scum and muck from London town drains down into the Thames, but don't worry none. By the time we're ready to drink it, the muck will settle to the bottom of the cask.
Well, Bilbo, I may have to drink it, but I'd prefer pure, cold Vermont spring water. I'd rather drink that.
So would I, boy. So would I.
they doing leaning over the port side rail? Why aren't they swabbing the decks as ordered?
They are trailing our hunk of red meat in the water, sir. A great shark following close astern, and they're trying to lure him alongside.
Look at the size of him.
That's a great white shark, Joe. Look to be 18 feet long.
He's big, all right. Do you think he's very dangerous, Bilbo?
Is he dangerous? Why, boy, I seen a great white shark not as big as this one bite a shipmate of mine right him too. Swallowed him in just 2 mouthfuls.
I see sharks follow a vessel for hundreds of miles just waiting for some poor sailor to fall overboard.
Aye, they seem to know when there's sick men aboard.
What has that to do with sharks following a ship?
They seem to sense when a man going to die or when a sailor lost overboard. They're bad omens, sharks. You just watch. Something's bad gonna happen.
All right, men, that's enough of them tall tales. You're scaring the boy half to death.
Tall tales. Mr. Eldridge, you've been at sea for many years. Now, ain't what we've been saying about the sharks the gospel truth?
Well, there's some truth in them stories, but ain't no use in frightening the boy. Pull in your lore now and get back to work. Now, don't you listen too close to Tale's crew members' spin, Joseph. They're a superstitious lot.
Thank you, sir. But I know when they're pulling my leg.
Good boy. I got a job for you, Joseph.
What is that, sir?
We're in a well-used shipping lane. I want you to go topside and have a look around for any sails. Now, you yell if you spot anything.
Aye, sir. I'm on my way.
Look at that boy climb, Mr. Eldridge. He's gonna be a fine seaman one of these days.
Well, he's got spunk, all right. He's climbing the rigging like a monkey.
He reached the main topgallant already.
There's nothing from horizon to horizon, Mr. Eldridge. Not a sail in sight.
All right, Joseph. Now climb down now. Not so fast, boy. Slow down.
Hold on. He missed his handful. He's falling.
Joseph! Man overboard! Quick, Bilbo. Cast out a rope. It's his only hope.
As I came gasping to the surface, I saw the ship passing beyond my reach. There was nothing on the smooth hull that I could grasp as it slid by me. The captain and the crew rushed to the stern of the ship, and I saw Bilbo hurl a coil of rope with all his strength.
Catch the rope, boy! Grab the end!
He got it. He caught the rope. Heave, men! Heave!
He's wrong side. Easy now. Up he come. Little more. That's it. This boy's gonna be all right. Oh, he's just wet, that's all.
Bilbo. I never expected to be standing on this deck again. Thank you, my friend. And thank God.
Bet you're gonna be more careful climbing the ring from now on, won't you, boy?
Say, will you look at that? Come over to the starboard rail, boys.
What do you see, Abel?
Look over the side. That shark is still following us.
What? You mean the shark was just on the other side of the ship while I was in the water?
He sure was. Look at him glide. Look at him glide alongside, just punched. Why, what's the matter, Joe? You white as a sheet and trembling, like you caught the ague.
Yes, that must be it, Bilbo. I must have caught the ague when I fell into the water. I don't feel so good. I think I'll go lie down in my bunk for a while.
That boy is half scared out of his mind.
Well, wouldn't you be? But he's a pretty brave boy. Most boys his age would be blubbering from now till we reach New Bedford.
You got that right, Mr. Eldridge. Wonder how come that shark changed his position to where he couldn't see that boy.
Only God knows, Bilbo.
Maybe you're right, Mr. Eldridge. Only God knows.
The Fanny reached New Bedford without further incident. When my family heard the tale of my narrow escape, they were sure that I was cured and would never go to sea again. But they were wrong. In 3 weeks' time, I signed on the Fanny for another cruise. Up to this time, we were part of a convoy. But after we pulled away from the Mooner Passage, a conference was called in Captain Terry's cabin. Present were First Mate Mr. Eldridge and Supercargo's second mate, Mr. Palmer. It was decided that the Fanny would leave the convoy and take a longer route to our destination along the coast of Denmark.
That was a fine bit of seamanship that kept us off the rocks in the Mooner Passage, Mr. Eldridge.
Thank you, Captain Terry.
But we aren't out of trouble yet.
What do you mean, sir?
Well, Mr. Palmer, these are Danish waters, and Denmark is Napoleon's ally in France's war against England.
What does that have to do with us? We're flying the American flag. We're not at war with France.
That makes no difference to Napoleon Bonaparte. He feels that the United States is sympathetic to the British cause. And maybe we are, a bit.
But still, why should the Danes bother with the Fanny?
Many Danish ships have letters of marque from France that gives them permission to stop any vessel suspected of hauling supplies for the English. That includes the Fanny, too, I'm afraid.
Sail ho!
Where away?
Off the starboard bow, sir, closing fast!
There they are, Mr. Palmer, 2 of them. It seems they're trying to cut across our bow.
I see them, Captain. They're flying the Danish flag.
They're shooting at us!
Not at us, Mr. Eldridge. They're putting shots across our bow. That means they want us to round to so they can board us.
Can we outrun them?
No chance of that. Those privateers are too fast for us. They could send us to the bottom with a few well-aimed shots.
What'll happen to us when they catch the Fanny?
I don't know, Mr. Eldridge. I just don't know.
Where is the captain of this vessel?
I am Captain Terry. What right do you have for stopping an American ship, sir?
We are Danish privateers, sir. We have every right to stop ships suspected of carrying contraband that are sailing in our waters.
Our cargo is grain, and our destination is the port of Archangel in Russia. We have nothing to do with the British.
We will let a court of maritime law decide that, Captain. Several of my officers will come aboard your ship and take command. Instruct your men to do exactly as they are ordered.
This is an outrage, sir. Where are you taking us?
We sail to Copenhagen, Captain Terry, where you and your men will be questioned. Do not try to overpower my officers and make a run for it. You know our guns can sink you in just minutes.
Bates, Bilbo, I want to talk to you.
Yes, Mr. Palmer?
We will dock in Copenhagen in a few hours, and I'm afraid that our cargo will be confiscated if we do not stick together.
What do you mean, Mr. Palmer?
As you probably know, I am supercargo and part owner of the Fanny as well as second mate. It will ruin me if the Danes take our cargo. I need your help, and the help of all the crew.
What can we do?
When we are brought to trial in Copenhagen, I want you to testify that we sailed directly from New York with no stops in the English Isles.
But that's not true, Mr. Palmer. We stopped in Ireland for refitting, and we joined an English convoy.
I know that, and you know that, but we don't have to tell the Danes. Look, boys, I'll make it worth your while.
I don't know, Mr. Palmer. I understand the Danish courts are terrible tough on anyone caught giving false evidence.
Have you talked to the rest of the crew?
Yes, to some of them.
Are they willing to lie about stopping in Ireland?
Not all of them, but I'll convince them, never fear.
Mr. Palmer, let me and Joe think about it, all right?
All right, but remember, I'll reward you handsomely if you go along with me.
Right, peace. The Copenhagen District Maritime Court is now in session. The Honorable Johan Olafsen presiding.
All right. Please be seated. We are here to determine whether the ship Fanny, flying the American flag, Bedford Registry, did in any way collaborate or give assistance to the British. Will Seaman Joseph Bates step forward?
I am Joseph Bates, Your Honor.
Well, you are very young to be a sailor, are you not?
I am 17 years old, Your Honor.
Do you understand what an oath is, Mr. Bates?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Bates, do you see that small box on the table near you?
Yes, sir.
That box contains a machine that will cut off the 2 forefingers and thumb of anyone who swears falsely in this court. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Now put your hand in the opening of the box. That's right. Now do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth about this matter of your ship, the Fanny?
I do so swear.
Then tell the court the facts about the voyage of the Fanny.
Well, sir, we sailed from New York.
To say that I was frightened is an understatement. Regardless of any consideration, I testified to the facts concerning our voyage. After the trial, I discovered that the little box had convinced even the most hardened liars among us to tell the absolute truth in their testimony.
This is a terrible situation. Just terrible.
Well, outside of the Danish government seizing our ship and cargo and leaving us among strangers with no money and just the clothes on our backs, what's so terrible?
This is no joking matter, Joseph Bates. We're in serious trouble. We gotta get out of Denmark in some way.
I was down at the docks early this morning scouting around. There's a brig bound for Pillau in Prussia, ready to sail on the next high tide. She's looking for a couple of extra hands.
Well, boy, let's go sign on. Are you sure they need sailors?
Aye, that they do. They were anxious to get us. And you'll understand why as soon as you see the vessel. Come on, let's go get our gear and climb aboard. We sail in a few hours.
This is the worst tub I've ever been on. I've been slaving on the pumps this whole watch. I tell you, the water's been seeping in faster than we can pump it out.
You're right. I don't know how this excuse for a ship stays afloat. But we'll be making port tomorrow in Pillau. The skipper told me we should be able to get a berth from there to Ireland with no trouble.
Joe, me boy, you certainly know how to pick 'em. This ship is worse than the last one.
Well, Seaman Bilbo, why didn't you find us a berth? This was the only ship in port going to the British Isles. We could have waited all winter for another chance to sail.
That's another thing. A winter passage down the Baltic is the most miserable sailing you ever see. And the trip through the Scotland Passage is just as bad.
Hey, what you do? You loafing around? Get below. Man pumps. Hurry or I put whip across your back.
Aye, aye, sir.
Man the pumps. Always the pumps. Don't these foreigners know how to caulk the planks in the hole?
After a wretched winter passage, we arrived in Belfast. From there, we crossed the Irish Channel to Liverpool to seek a passage to America.
We're not having any luck at all finding a ship bound for the States, Bilbo. Pass the stew, please.
Here you are, boy. I think the problem is that no Yankee vessel wants to take the chance of running Old Boney's blockade.
Yeah.
The French Navy has both ends of the channel blocked off, and them gunners of his can shoot.
If we don't get berths pretty soon, we'll have to find work. This boarding house is expensive, and we're almost out of money.
Don't you worry none, matey. Something will turn up.
Look lively, mates. It's a press gang. They be looking for men to serve on His Majesty's ships.
Who might you gentlemen be? What county be you from?
We're American sailors looking for passage home.
Americans, eh? Have you got some identification?
Yes. Here's my United States passport. Bilbo, show them yours.
These documents look like forgeries to me. What do you think, Corporal?
Oh, yes, Lieutenant. They be forgeries, all right.
What do you mean, forgeries?
Just what I said, mate. I'll have to ask you gentlemen to come with us.
What? Oh, hold up. You just can't come in here and haul off American citizens.
Yes, I bloody well can. All right, man, seize them. If they give you any trouble, bend a billy club on their heads. Let's go, Corporal.
They marched us to the rendezvous, a stockade where victims of the press gangs were held. In the morning, we were brought before an English lieutenant to be questioned.
Since these so-called passports have been proven to be false, I hereby conscript the both of you for service in His Majesty's Navy.
You can't do that. We're Americans.
Seize him by now.
Hey, let go of me. Don't. Stop Stop it!
All right, me buckos. I'm glad you've got lots of fight in ye. You'll need it where you're going. Take 'em along, Master-at-Arms.
Where are you taking us? We want to see someone from the American consulate. This is 1810, not 1776.
Take your dirty hands off of me, you lick-spittle-liming snake!
Gentlemen, please, don't make us use force. Master-at-Arms, draw your sword, and if either of these Yankee jackdaws gives you any trouble, run them through.
Right, sir. Move along, you two. We ain't got all day. Now, listen to me. We're going down to the wharf to board ship. You have a choice, me beauties. You can march down the streets of Liverpool with dignity, or we can render ye unconscious and carry you down. Which will it be?
We won't give you any more trouble, will we, Bilbo?
All right. No more trouble.
Well, then, let's be on our way. Well, here we are, me buckos. And there be the rowboat to carry out to the ship.
What ship is that?
That be His Majesty's 42-gun frigate, the Princess. And she'll be your home for the next few years, I would imagine.
Why did you press us into service? Surely there are enough young Englishmen who would be happy to serve on King George's ships.
Young Englishmen be happy to serve, he says. Bless ye, lad. Don't ye realize that the Royal Navy ain't a nice place to be? No English boy in his right mind would willingly serve in the Navy. We have to press them too.
We were rowed out to the Princess and climbed the ladder to her deck. After a rigid scrutiny, we were confined in a brig with about 60 others who claimed to be Americans. It was April 27, 1810. I was just 3 months short of my 18th birthday. The brig of the frigate Princess was a huge, dark room midship. The only light came from 2 tiny portholes blocked by iron bars. With 60 men milling about, the air in the room soon became stagnant and oppressive.
We're in deep trouble, Joe. There's no way out of this mess.
We're Americans. The press gang had no right to take us.
Boy, we're all Americans here, and the press gang's got us all just like they got you. Ain't a thing you can do about it.
Isaac Bilbo's the name, and this here's Joe Bates. How long have you been confined on this ship?
I'm Dave Foyle from Danbury, Connecticut. Me and my mate, Jim Wilson, have been locked up in this stinking brig for 7 weeks, breathing foul air and eating slops.
How long will they keep us here?
Until they find berths for us on one of the German George's gunboats. They took 20 men out just yesterday to serve with the Mediterranean fleet.
Have you ever thought of escaping?
Sure we have. Them iron bars blocking the portholes are set in rotten wood. Would be no trouble at all to bust them out, but...
Why haven't you given it a try?
Because the Brits are always on watch. They have 4 Marine guards on deck watch right over the portholes and the hatch 24 hours a day.
So we cut the bars, then we slip out the porthole and swim for the docks.
All right, men. There goes our diversion, and there goes the guard right on cue. Cut out those bars.
This wood is rotten soft. The bars are coming out real easy. There! That's the last one.
Good. Let's have a look.
I say, what's going on there, Captain Martin? The bars are gone from the brig portal.
Upon my word, the blighters are trying to escape. Guards, get up on deck and open the brig hatch. We'll teach these Yanks a lesson they'll never forget.
Oh, they've spotted us. We're in for it now.
One by one, we were brought up on deck, stripped to the waist, and positioned to receive a whipping with the dreaded cat-o'-nine-tails.
The rest of ye swabs are getting a reprieve. It's getting too dark to swing the cat-o'-nine-tails, but you'll get your turn come sun up.
Bilbo, come on. Let's do what we can to help these men.
We worked with the whipped, wounded men all that night, knowing that this was to be our fate the next day. With some alarm, we watched the dawn seep through the portholes. But instead of whipping all 60 of us Americans, we were transferred to a frigate that was weighing her anchors to put out to sea. After a few days of rough sailing, we came to the port of Plymouth. There, we were put aboard another prison ship, Salvadore del Mondo. After that, the prison ship, Rodney. Aboard the Rodney, months passed. I had been an impressed sailor and prisoner for 3 years. With winter coming on, sailing on the Mediterranean would become impossible. The Rodney made for the island of Minorca and anchored in the port of Ma'an. Time passed, and then one day we were summoned on board for an important announcement.
It is the policy of His Majesty King George III to relieve any vessel with 3 years' continuous duty and return it to England. The Rodney is going home, boys. We will sail for Portsmouth in 2 weeks.
Let's have one for the captain, boys! Hip, hip,
hooray!
Bates!
Yes, bosun?
Report to the quarterdeck. The captain wants to see ye.
What does he want, do you know?
Yes, I know what he wants. And you'll know soon enough.
Seaman Bates reporting as ordered, sir.
Oh, yes, Bates. I have some news for you. You have been a thorn in my side ever since you stepped aboard my ship. So I take great pleasure in telling you this. You will not be going back to England with the Rodney.
Not going back to England? What? Where are you sending me?
Well, you and 49 other men are being transferred to the HMS Swiftshore.
But Captain, the Swiftshore has just arrived in the Mediterranean to begin a 3-year station.
That's right, Bates. And you will be on her. Dismissed.
But, sir, that's not fair.
Who cares about being fair, Bates? It is my feeling that you are getting your just deserts. But now, I said, dismissed.
The Swiftshore, my new ship in captivity, was anchored at Port Ma'an, but it soon was underway. In the meantime, the War of 1812 began between the United States and Britain. One of the causes, impressment.
Yes, what is it?
Sir, we understand that war has commenced between Great Britain and the United States.
Yes, that's true. What of it?
As Americans, we do not wish to be found fighting against our own country. Therefore, it is our wish to become prisoners of war.
Do you 6 men presume to represent all of the so-called Americans in the fleet?
No, sir. Only those aboard the Swiftshore.
Go below immediately, you knaves. We'll see about this nonsense.
We've been in this filthy bilge for 2 months now. Scanty rations, no rum allowance. What are the Brits trying to do?
Well, they're trying to break us down, Wills. They figure if we get hungry enough and dirty enough, we'll be glad to sign on as English sailors and forget about being Americans.
I think you've got that figured out right, Bell. But if we stick to our guns, They'll have no choice but to grant us prisoner of war status.
I think they plan to starve us to death. Oh, God, I want to get out of here.
Nah, the Brits don't want us dead. You'll see. Pretty soon they'll start working on us, trying to convince us to join up with them.
Well, I'm never going to work ship for Great Britain again, no matter what they do to me.
Bates, we must clear this gunroom, take up that hammock, sir, and carry it up on deck.
It's not my hammock, First Officer.
Drat your eyes, sir. How dare you disobey me? Take up that hammock.
I shall not. I am a prisoner of war, and I hope you will treat me as such.
Yes, you scoundrel, I shall. Master-at-arms, come here.
Yes, sir?
Throw this traitor into the brig and put him in irons. Maybe that will change your mind, Bates.
That you can do, First Officer, but I shall not work for the English again, ever.
We'll see about that.
Come along peacefully, lad. I don't like to do this, but I must obey orders and lock you up.
After holding us Americans aboard ship as prisoners of war for 8 months, we were sent to Gibraltar, and from there to England.
Quiet down, you blokes. I want to make you welcome to His Majesty's newest luxury hotel, the prison ship Crown Prince. What? You Yankee doodles don't appreciate a bit of humor?
Very funny. This rotting old hulk was designed to accommodate 300 men. They have over 1,000 on board already.
And we're 200 more, Joseph. Where will they put us all?
All right, you scum, down the hatch with you. Hurry now, or the master-at-arms will tickle your backs with the cat-o'-nine tails.
Summer and fall passed with monotonous slowness. Each day was the same as the day before. As cold weather set in, we prisoners huddled together with our thin blankets around our shoulders in an effort to stay warm.
Come and get it, you blokes, your daily ration of bread. Hurry it up, form a line. Stop up here now, and the cook will give you your biscuits.
Hey, wait just a minute. This ain't our regular ration. These are biscuits instead of our soft brown bread. What's going on?
Quiet, you scum! Up to now, you've been receiving from the bounty of His Gracious Majesty 1 12-ounce loaf of bread each day. Well, we're making a change.
What do you mean, a change?
As you may know, we have an ample supply of ship's biscuits on board. From now until further notice, you will each receive 9 ounces of biscuits instead of your loaf of bread.
Quiet down, you loud. Shut up, I say.
You Yanks have nothing to complain about. 9 ounces of biscuits is equal to 12-ounce loaves.
It ain't the same! We don't want your biscuits! We don't want your biscuits. You take them and toss them into the sea.
That's right.
When you blokes get hungry enough, you'll be glad to have the biscuits. Come on, cook. Have your mates take the biscuits back to the galley.
Take them back.
After several days, the situation was desperate. The lack of air, combined with the hunger and thirst, had made us savage. We all agreed that something had to be done, and soon.
Come here, Joseph. I want to show you something.
What do you want to show me, Bilbo?
What you see there in front of your nose is the bulkhead that separates our stinking prison from the quarters of the sailors, marines, and their wives. It's a double bulkhead, you see, and the Brits feel safe behind it.
What are you planning, Bilbo?
You'll see, boy. Come 10 o'clock tonight, all Hades is gonna break loose.
I got the torches ready, Bilbo. I melted down some soap fat into the fry pans with strips from my shirt as wicks.
Good boy, Wills. What about the battering ram?
Bell and some of the other boys have taken down a heavy oak stanchion from the upper deck. It should do nicely.
Fine. Now, who's in charge of the water tins?
Tom Grant. And he has our drummer boys all ready to go with the loudest music you'll ever want to hear.
Bilbo, this sounds like trouble to me.
You bet it's trouble, Joseph, but not for us. Don't worry, boy. Everything is under control. Now listen up, men. 10 seconds to go. Get ready. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Battering ram crew, go!
Bilbo, our torches are going out.
That's all right. We can stop now. We've put the fear of the Lord into it. Now let us try and get some sleep now and see what the captain's reaction is in the morning. Maybe he'll see the light then. That's enough, boys. Let's call it a night. Yeah.
Hey, look, men. They're opening the hatch.
Sunlight. Fresh air. Ah, Bilbo, it smells so good.
Who's in charge in there?
I guess I am, Captain.
Well, you can tell your fellow prisoners I have decided to allow the full ration of bread from now on.
Yeah.
Providing there are no more disturbances such as we had last night. Come up on deck, one man from each mess, to receive a 3 days allowance. Also send a water detail.
We had won. Our full ration of bread was restored, and we ate until we were stuffed. What a celebration! Home at last, and a happy reunion.
I'll get it, Mother. Yes. Can I help you?
Joseph. Joseph Bates. How good to see you safe at home. You don't recognize me. Well, it's been more than 6 years since we've seen each other. I'm not surprised.
You're not... You can't be little Prue Nye.
Yes, Joseph, I can be. And I am.
Well, I'll be. You've... grown up.
Well, so have you. Let's see, you're, 23 years old now, right?
I'll be 23 next month, July 8th. Oh, I'm sorry to keep you standing in the doorway. Come in. Come in and sit.
Now, tell me all about your adventures, Joseph.
I will, if you'll tell me everything that's happened in New Bedford since I've been gone.
We must have talked for over an hour, this enchanting young lady and I. Gone were the pigtails and the tomboyish ways that I remembered. In place of these was a pretty young lady with a pert nose still dusted with freckles and a gentle mouth teased with a smile at the corners.
What a lovely, soft evening this is, Joseph. I've had such a good time.
It's pleasant under the trees. You have no idea how I missed all this, how I longed for it for 6 agonizing years.
But now you're leaving it and going to sea again.
Yes. An old schoolmate of mine is now owner and master of a new square rigger. He wants me to sign on as second mate for a voyage to Bremen in Europe.
How does your family feel about your going to sea again?
Mother was all tears, and Father warned that I not become a drunken, cursing sea dog. I assured him of my disgust with the intemperate habits of most seamen. I have absolutely no desire for strong drink.
They will be sorry to see you leave so soon. When do you sail?
In a few days. We will make for Alexandria, Virginia for our cargo and sail for Bremen. And then home again. Will you be sorry to see me leave, Prue?
You know I will, Joseph. I've become very fond of you.
And I of you. Will you wait for me, Prudence Nye?
Yes, I'll wait, my Joseph. I'll wait as long as it takes.
Well, it took a while. There was the voyage to Bremen, Germany, then the ill-fated voyage of the Criterion, locked in ice and demolished in Chesapeake Bay, and finally a trip to South America in which we miraculously survived a hurricane off the coast of Martinique, finally arriving home in January 1818.
Whoa! Back up there, Prince. Steady. Whoa, now. Fairhaven folks, end of the line.
Joseph, my love. Oh, I'm so glad you're home.
Let me look at you, Prue. Ah, prettier than I remembered. And very kissable, too.
Oh, put me down. Put me down this instant, you rogue. Well, you can't kiss me in public. You did. What will everybody think?
They'll think we're going to be married. And we are, very, very soon.
On February 15, 1818, Prudence Nye and I were married.
Do you, Prudence M. Nye, take this man to be your husband, to honor and love him, and cleave to him all the days of your life?
I do.
And do you, Joseph Bates, take this woman as your wife, to cherish and love, to protect and care for all the days of your life?
I do.
Then, in the name of God, and before all those present, I pronounce you man and wife.
Ha! Yeah! Giddy up! Giddy up!
Joseph, don't go so fast.
We've been gone for a week now. Boston was fun, Prue, but I'm in a hurry to get back to Fairhaven and our own little home.
Oh, how good that sounds, Joseph, my husband. My husband. We'll be happy, won't we?
Yes, very happy. That is, if you can put up with being a sailor's wife.
My father is a sailor, and my grandfather and great-grandfather before him. I can put up with it. I've had lots of practice with the long waits and the worry.
Quiet, please. I've called you to the quarterdeck to inform you about some regulations that will be followed aboard my ship. I will allow no swearing during this voyage.
I have always had that privilege, sir. All sailors swear a little.
William Dunn, you will not have that privilege here.
But, I can't help it, Captain. When I am called up in the night to reef the topsail in bad weather and things go wrong, I just naturally swear before I think.
If you do that aboard the Empress, I'll help you think. You'll find yourself below in the forecastle.
Sir, that would cause me to be disgraced. I'll try to stop swearing, Captain.
Dunn was a true shipboard lawyer. When I told the crew there would be no liberty ashore on Sundays, he said, "That's a sailor's privilege. We've always had the liberty of going ashore on Sundays."
How much better it will be for you to read and improve your minds than to join all the wickedness that sailors get into in foreign ports. Now, Here is the most important rule of all. We will carry no intoxicating drinks aboard the Empress. I have 1 junk bottle of brandy and 1 of gin in the medicine chest to be doled out as you need it for sickness. When you come aboard after liberty, you will be sober and ready for duty. Is all that understood? If you all adhere to these rules, our voyage will be a pleasant one.
Captain Bates, shall I have the pleasure of a glass of wine with you?
I don't drink alcoholic beverages of any kind, Mrs. Bennet, but if you will allow me, I shall fill my glass with water and drink your health with that.
Now, my dear Captain, I find that quite unacceptable. If you will not toast me with wine, you shall not toast me at all, sir.
Mrs. Bennet, you know very well that I do not indulge in strong spirits. Why do you insist that I break a promise to myself?
Sure, Joseph, you cannot refuse to take a sip of very good port to pledge my lady's health.
It has been my experience that one sip leads to another until a person is, before he knows it, a drunkard.
Oh, come.
You both know that I do not drink ardent spirits on any occasion, Mr. Consul.
Yes, but
I will be more than happy to pledge her well-being with water as sincerely as I would with wine.
Well, now,
Oh, let him be, Richard. I will accept his kind offer and offer my toast to Captain Bates in return. To you, Captain.
And to you, Mrs. Bennet.
You've been home for 3 months, Joseph, and I can see that you are becoming restless. When will you take to the sea again?
My love, you read me like a book. I've been offered command of the Talbot out of Salem, Massachusetts. She's loading in Alexandria for a voyage to Liverpool.
When will you leave?
We sail in a few weeks, if all goes well.
Another midwinter Atlantic voyage. Well, I'll try not to worry. But, oh, my love, I miss you so when you're gone.
This was only one of many goodbyes to come. Over the next years, I sailed many seas to many strange and wonderful places, and always I returned home to Fairhaven and to Prue. During all that time, one particular voyage stays in my mind, a voyage that changed my life forever.
Each time I leave, it's harder to go, Prudy. I'm so sad and homesick all the while I'm gone. I'd hoped to spend a longer season at home, but here it is, only August, and I'm about to sail again. How do you endure these separations?
My love, I admit that the times you're gone are long and lonesome for me, but I have the children and my memories.
I keep the loneliness at bay with books. When I'm not on watch, I read constantly. Novels, romances, books on astronomy.
Oh?
As a matter of fact, my books are packed in my sea chest now, ready to go.
In your sea chest?
On August 15, 1824, we sailed from New Bedford, laden with flour for Rio de Janeiro.
Everything seems shipshape for the moment, Chief. I'm going to my cabin to read for a while. Call me if the wind picks up.
Aye, sir.
What will it be today? Let's see. Mr. Dickens' Tale of Two Cities, or the mystery stories by that new writer, Edgar Allan Poe. What's this? A New Testament. Here's a note inside. From Prudy. Let's see what she has to say. My darling Joseph,
of all the books that you will read on this voyage, the one you hold in your hand will be the most important. I know how hard you have worked to become a better man, to cleanse your body of alcohol, tobacco, and profane language. But what of your soul, my love? For my sake, study this little book of the life and words of our Lord.
Oh, Prudy. Thank you, my love.
My interest in reading novels and romances ceased. Among the many books I had selected to take with me on this voyage was Doddridge's Rise and Progress of Religion in the Soul and the Bible. These two books were the only ones that interested me now, and I ignored all the others. Soon after we had cleared Cape Henry at the start of the voyage, one of the crew, a young Norwegian named Christopher Christofferson, had taken sick. Now, about 8 days out of St. Thomas, I was sure that Christofferson was dying, and there seemed to be nothing I could do to save him. One night, I walked the deck, unable to sleep. I looked up at the huge Caribbean moon in despair. I longed to be a Christian, but pride and the allurements of the world still held me in their grasp. On impulse, I decided to visit the sick bay and check on Christofferson.
Who is there?
It's Captain Bates. How are you feeling tonight, son?
Not good, Captain. I am, how you say, very weak.
We'll be in St. Thomas in about 8 days. There will be a doctor there.
I will not be here 8 days from now. I feel that I will die soon, Captain Bates.
Nonsense, boy. We'll have you up and about, and you'll be...
No, sir, I think not. Are you a Christian, sir?
Well,
I remember when I was a boy in Bergen, my mother would take me to St. Mary's Church, but I would rather spend my time on the old German docks. Oh.
Don't try to talk anymore, Christopher.
I must talk, must remember. I would sit on the quay and watch the boats put out to sea.
Don't talk, boy. I'll give you some laudanum to stop the pain. You need to sleep.
No, I must talk. I would sit and watch the ships come and go. My mother would beg me to go to church with her, but all I thought about was shipping out to sea. When I shipped out after my mother died, I left all my Christian beliefs behind, and now it hurts.
Here, take the laudanum. Good. Now, go to sleep, boy.
Wait, Captain Bates. I want to be buried as a Christian. Please, sir, I want... Oh...
Lad, close your eyes.
I promise me, sir, I want to be buried as a Christian.
I promise, Christopher. I promise.
The lad's words bothered me greatly. I longed to be a Christian, and I suffered intensely in my mind before I decided to pray. But I was still so much of the world that I was afraid my officers and men would learn that I was under conviction. Having no secret place to pray, I opened the run scuttle under the dining room table and prepared a place where I should be out of sight if my officers should enter the cabin during my prayer sessions. When I first knelt in earnest supplication to God, I felt as if the hairs on my head were standing straight up.
Dear Lord, I am frightened. I presume to open my mouth to the great and holy God. I seek peace, my Lord, peace for my troubled mind. I have no friend, nor any person who can tell me how to speak to you. Help me. Also, I pray for the sick lad, Christofferson. He will die soon, I fear. Help him, Jesus. And help me.
Soon after this, I ordered Christofferson moved to my own quarters, where I could tend him more closely. At the end of my watch a few days later, I entered my quarters and sat on the edge of my berth. On the other side of the cabin, covered to his chin with blankets, lay Christopher. As I slipped off my boots, he turned his head and gave me a wan smile. "How goes it, lad?" I asked. He nodded and closed his eyes again. I lay back on my bed and almost immediately was fast asleep.
I slept too hard. Better see how Christopher is doing. How are you making out this morning, lad? The sun's popped over the horizon, and here you are, still lazing in bed.
I put my hand on the boy's forehead. It was icy cold.
Oh, God. Christopher is dead.
We laid poor Christopher out on the quarterdeck, and after the crew had paid their respects, he was sewn into a hammock with a heavy bag of sand at his feet. A plank was prepared which had one end over the rail. The boy was placed on it with his feet toward the sea, so by lifting the plank, his body would slide into the ocean feet first. I was a sinner in the sight of God and dared not pray in public. Yet I could not consent to plunge the poor fellow into the ocean without some religious ceremony. He wanted to be buried as a Christian.
Captain Bates, Christofferson is laid out on the plank. He's ready to be buried. Are you ready to read the service over him?
Yes. Yes, I should read something. But I don't have a book.
I have a prayer book, sir. A Church of England book, if that's all right.
That will be fine. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
Amen.
All right, Mr. Sanders, lift the plank. Let our brother slide into the sea.
Yes, sir. All right, men. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
As I passed down the gangway, I heard poor Christopher plunge into the sea. I went down to my prayer place under the dining room table and vented my feelings, asking for forgiveness of all my sins and for those of the tragic fellow who was now sinking beneath the waves. From that time, I felt a sinking into the will of God. I resolved that from now on I would renounce the sinful ways of the world and the devil. I promised myself that I would meticulously seek for eternal life. I believe now that all my sins were forgiven at that time. Then, solemnly, I made a covenant with God, which I found in Doddridge's Rise and Progress of Religion in the Soul, in which I renounced all former lords that had dominion over me, and consecrated myself completely to the Lord Jesus Christ. This was done aboard the brig Empress of New Bedford at sea, October 4th, 1824, in latitude 19 degrees 50 marks north and longitude 34 degrees 50 marks west, bound for Brazil. That night, I had a remarkable dream respecting a communication from the post office. I seemed to hold in my hand a long scroll with these words blazoned across the top.
Examine, experience yourself.
There is a letter. A long letter. It says, "Know thyself. Be worthy of the Lord thy God. Renounce the sins of man and open yourself to your salvation."
When I awoke, I wrote down a few of the lines in the letter, the few that I could remember, and filed it away with other papers. That paper is now missing, but I believe the dream letter was to convince me that my sins were indeed forgiven. After a stay of 6 weeks in Pernambuco, and having disposed of the greater part of our cargo, we set sail for other Brazilian ports to the south. The press of business had, in some measure, deprived me of the spiritual enjoyment I had at arriving at this port. Now I had more leisure to search through the Bible and other religious books. But oh, how I yearned for someone, some professed Christian with whom I could talk or be in a prayer meeting for an hour or so, that I might vent the feelings that were pent up in me.
Who is it?
It's Hafford, sir. I have a gentleman with me who says he's an old friend of yours from Marblehead.
Hello, Joseph, old friend.
Why, George Broughton, what a surprise. Come in, come in. What are you doing in Paraíba?
Oh, the same thing you're doing, trading with the Brazilians.
Are you still the skipper of the schooner, Catherine B?
No, my brother John is commanding her this trip. I'm captain of the brig Thomas Paine. We sailed into port together this morning. We're carrying iron bars.
Well, trade this far north has been brisk. You should have no trouble selling your cargoes.
I see you've been reading your Bible, Joseph. I didn't know you were a Christian.
I want to be a professed Christian. I wasn't until this voyage, but now I have found Jesus.
Ah, praise God. I've always known you to be a good man, Captain Bates. But now you're a better one with Christ in your heart.
I love Jesus, George, but sometimes I get so lonely. There's no one aboard this vessel to talk to about my conviction.
My brother John and I are having a prayer meeting on the Catherine B this evening. Would you like to join us?
Of course I will, George. I'd like that with all my heart.
The Broughtons were the first professed Christians I'd known since leaving the United States. With them, I enjoyed a few days of sweet exchange. It was a truly refreshing time. During the rest of 1824 and well into 1825, we plied our trade up and down the Brazilian coast, from Espiritu Santo, Rio San Francisco, and Rio Grande. On our last trip to Paraíba, we unloaded hides and rare skins and sailed for New York. We arrived at Quarantine several miles below New York City on about the last of March of 1826. As we had no sickness aboard, I was allowed on Sunday to take my crew with me to hear the service at the Dutch Reformed Church. This was the first religious assembly I had met with since I had covenanted with God, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. A few days later, we were relieved from quarantine, and I made my way to New York and then home.